All right, today I want to talk to you about the difference between planting and transplanting, or digging, planting, and transplanting, because this is something that people confuse a lot. They confuse the difference between planting and transplanting. Here I've got, this is a container grown, a little spirea. This is a Shiro Shabana. This thing is just starting to show a little bit of leaves here in early April. This thing is in a container. So when I go to slip this out of the container, what I do is just turn it upside down. Now you can see that the roots have circled all the way around here. When I plant this thing, I'm going to disturb these roots a little bit. Finnegan's going to try and prune it for me as I hold it. Hey, don't even think about it. So really, all you have to do is disturb the roots a little bit like that when you plant these container grown plants. That helps them to get reestablished so they don't just keep growing in a circle like that. That kind of root disturbance isn't going to shock the plant. There's no real heavy roots in there. So when you're digging something, like if this thing were in the ground and I were digging it with a nursery spade like this, then it would, that would sever heavy roots and it would shock the plant. And we'll show you, with some stuff that's in the ground. So if you've got something that's in a container like this, and you can plant something that's in a container, in a ball, you can plant year-round as long as the ground is not frozen. I mean from January 1st until December 31st, as long as you can dig a hole, you can slide it out of the container and put it in the ground. That's perfectly fine. But transplanting season, or digging season really, digging season starts in the end of November, usually right around Thanksgiving, and that's when the plants go completely dormant and they lose all their leaves. From that point on, they're dormant, and then you can dig them, you can sever roots, you're not going to hurt them. So that's when all the nurseries start their digging. They start their fall digging. It's kind of like a hurry up and wait. We all stand around and wait until we get that good hard freeze that triggers dormancy, and then we start digging. And then digging season will continue from the end of November all the way until about, here in Ohio, typically we're done digging around like the third week of April. This year things were a little bit colder. We might be able to dig up until May 1st. It just depends on what the temperatures do. So, and if you're going to transplant plants in your yard, you want to move it from here to here, that's digging. And that's when you're going to shock a plant if you dig it during the growing season. So once they start growing, like little leaves like this aren't a problem, but once this thing really starts to put on some new shoots, if you dig it then, you're going to shock it and you very well could kill the plant. So once they leaf out in the spring, you can't dig until November. So digging season runs from Thanksgiving to mid-April in states where typically zone 5 states, or if you're in a warmer state, that window is going to be shorter. If you're in a colder state, up Wisconsin area, zone 3, zone 4, you're probably going to have a longer period of time to do that. So I think the big differentiation, and I don't know if that's a word, I'm trying to make is that, when planting is one thing, digging is a different story. So transplanting from the ground into the ground, that's digging. The first part of that process is digging. You're going to shock your plants. So anyway, container grown plants like this can be planted at any time. The day you buy them, take them home and plant them. Don't put them on a patio. Don't let the sun bake them in the containers. We keep things alive in containers because we water at least once a day, if not twice a day. If you're working and you take something like this and you set it in your driveway or on your patio, there's a good chance you're going to kill it. So keeping things alive in a container is really challenging, especially a small container like this. So the sooner, I've heard people say, well, I bought it, but I don't want, it's hot right now, so I'm going to wait till fall to plant it. That's crazy. The sooner you get in the ground, the better off you are. Plants are always happier in the ground. All right, let's go out back and we'll talk a little bit about the digging process. All right, in this area, we got all kinds of different kinds of Japanese maples in the ground. There's a bunch of Twombly's Red Sentinel right there. Really, really nice plant. They've gotten bigger. I've got to get some of those out of there. And then this whole section here, this bed, I'm going to dig this whole bed. I got to get them out of there. So it's really important for you to understand that you have to prioritize what you're doing, because I know that I've got about 2 to 3 weeks at best to get these out of here. If I let them leaf out, I can't dig them, and then I'm stuck until next spring. I can dig them in November, but then what am I going to do with them? So I know in the back of my mind that this is one of the top priority things that I have to get done here in the next 10 days is get all this stuff dug and out of here and ready to sell, because I need this particular area right here. Some of these over here have gotten big enough that I've got to at least take out every other one. So I hear this from people every year, says, well, I didn't get them dug in April, can I still dig them? No, you can't. If you didn't get it done before they leafed out, you have really hurt yourself. So you got to really be conscious. And a lot of times what I tell people is, if you know, at the very least, go through there and dig at them and loosen them up. I always use a good nursery spade like this, but I'm going to go, you know, I can easily go around here. So that plant, and one more root right there. So that plant right there, you know, it's dug. I didn't hurt it. If I did that when it was leafed out in growing season, it would completely wilt down and probably die. But now I'm not ready to deal with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it right back in that hole and just put some dirt over it. Make sure I don't have any air pockets around the roots. Now if I wanted, got a root sticking up, I could go through and dig this whole bed, put them right back in like that, and then they would be good for probably a month before they started to root in. So, and I often tell people that if you're not ready to deal with them, get them dug, bundle them up, put them in bundles if you have to, heal them in, cover up the roots. The digging is done. The severing of the roots has taken place. So now when you take them out of that spot where you have them healed in, it's not going to hurt them. Let's wind this up by going up front, and I'll show you some stuff that I got healed in. All right, now in this area I've got a bunch of, these are tree seedlings that I bought in here. There's some heritage river birch, there's white dogwoods, I've got Chinese dogwoods, red oak, white oak, and right in here, I don't know if you can see them from where we're at with the camera, but these are Japanese maple seedlings. So I've got them healed in. I've got the roots covered with potting soil or whatever I could kind of get my hands on, and then we just keep them watered. They're going to be fine there for, you know, a few more weeks until we get them potted. Now once they start leafing out, these are still pretty close together, so we're going to have to get on it and get them potted up, but that's on the to-do list. Again, that's one of those priority things where, you know, you got to be on top of it and you have to get it done. So, but anyway, people always ask me, you know, what do you mean by healing in? Basically, that's what I mean. All I do is dig a real shallow hole, put all the roots in there, and then cover it, sprinkle the soil, rub it between my hands so it sprinkles down, because I want to get rid of all the air pockets around the roots. You can't have air pockets. And then water it real good to wash the soil down in. Those things will be perfectly happy. Now, I heal them in outside. These things have been here for, boy, I bet almost a month. I want them out here so they stay dormant. If I kept them, we had them in our building where it was about 45 or 50 degrees, but they would have leafed out in there, and then they wouldn't have had enough light. But by moving them out here, they've been in the cold, they've frozen, so they're completely dormant. They'll wake up on schedule, and that's really, really important. So basically, that's what I mean by healing something in.